Hello, it's Tony once again from Laughing Griffin Crafting. Welcome to the channel. Today I am making foam doorways that can be used for Dungeons and Dragons, other tabletop games. Can be used in dungeons or with other built terrain. And the main material that I used here is packing foam. This is polystyrene foam. It's a softer foam. It's not XPS, the extruded polystyrene type foam that you get for a lot of crafting that's done in the community. XPS foam is an insulation foam. This is a packaging foam. I was able to get this from a packaging business that was literally giving it away for free. This was their scraps that they had, and nothing's beats free, so I am going to be using it for as many crafting projects as I can. I don't know exactly how you go about sourcing this outside of if you have a package and this stuff comes with it, you can use that. I didn't really do a look on the internet to see where you could buy this directly. This type of foam is very easy to cut. A knife goes through it very easily. A utility knife just goes through it like butter. So it's a very easy and forgiving craft to work with. I've already made dungeon stackers, and actually the scraps from my dungeon stackers are what I use to make these doorways. And you can follow the links for how I did the dungeon stackers on my channel. These are all easy for me to assemble. I was able to make them as I was making the dungeon stackers. Let's get to it. So here are my scraps that I have put together, and literally they look like a doorway just the way they are, so I didn't really have to do a ton of cutting, just a bit of cutting to make them approximate together. I'm going to use cardboard for bases, and here I am just measuring those out and cutting out those bases, which I'll then glue. And these are all the scraps I had from this Dungeon Stackers project. And here is kind of the results of the scraps that I chose out to make all sorts of different doorways. They're kind of like very ancient doorways. You might see like a Stonehenge kind of look to them. And they're also rounded, which is pretty cool because I don't really see much on the community for these kinds of doorways. Here's what it looks like when I've got it all glued up. I actually cut off a very thin sheet of it and put it on the bottom for the base. I'm going to make some doorways, and I'm going to be using some styrofoam plates. This is very easy stuff to get. I'm going to trace it out for double-sided in this case because I want to make a door with two different sides on it, which in retrospect I really didn't need to do it because I could just do one way and then the other. Just created more gluing for me. Anyways, here I am putting on some texture for woodwork with a wire brush, and now I'm using a pick from a dental kit, and this kind of dental pick can be gotten actually at Walmart for about $5 for a package of it. I got it for less because there's a mom and pop dollar store near my house that I was able to get it for a few bucks less. But it does a really good job of carving out little details. And here I'm going to be cutting out some of the banding, metal banding, but it's just basically more foam from the styrofoam plate. Pretty much. Okay, and now going to do another doorway here. Again, just measuring it out. I then cut out a little rectangle and a little circle. This will act as my doorknob and keyhole. I then used the pick to dig out a little bit of the rectangle to make the keyhole. I'm going to make another door because I was kind of experimenting with ways to make different doors, and these are basically popsicle sticks. I got them at a dollar store, crafts store, and just measuring things out here. And I'm going to cut out off all the little end bits that are round so that everything's square. Go over it with a wire brush. Go over it with the pick, kind of getting the deal of how to do wooden texture now, right? Anyways, let's go outside and get this all primed. I'm using a craft foam primer, a light gray. Didn't cause any melting with this particular foam, so I was happy with that. Now I'm going to cover them with a dark black wash, which is basically just, this point, just craft paint mixed with water. I didn't do anything particularly special, any other additives with this. There are other dark black washes that can, other ingredients, but I just go real simple. And here's what they look like for the most part. Some of them I haven't glued together, but it didn't really matter that I didn't glue them together. And you can see how they're not that really white, bright kind of color. And here's back to the popsicle stick. And I have etched out a middle portion of it to create a seam for the banding, and going about adding more details here and cutting it to fit, getting those little rounded edges off the ends. And here I am now going to be saying that, yes, you can do this with a utility knife, but probably dulling the blade a little bit. Going to use, again, I'm experimenting a little bit. I'm just using pieces of paper now for banding. In retrospect, I probably should have used construction paper that was gray, that was going to actually be the color that I was going to use. Anyways, let's make all the doors that are wooden with a base coat of brown. And here I made a metal door. I'm going to be painting it a base coat of gray. And once everything's dried up, I'm going to use a dry brushing technique with a light tan. Which is then followed by painting all the banding gray. This is followed by a black wash to mute those really bright colors. I then use a gunmetal gray metallic for the metal highlights, and it ends up looking something like this. So here is the finished product as a still. So these doorways are really compatible with the dungeon stackers that I made, since they're the same foam and the same color scheme. It's pretty much identical, so you can check out the dungeon stackers video. These can be also used with the dungeon tiles that I made, because the measurements I made were the same as those tiles. So these can be doorways like in between each. They can also be put in front of the dungeon stackers like you see here, making it look like there's little temple entrances or dungeon entrances. So these can even be used in an outside environment. It doesn't have to be interior at all. So you can see some of the detail here on that metal door. I actually used the banding for that door was actually Q-tips, with the Q-tip end cut off, the cotton end cut off. So please support the channel by subscribing, liking, writing comments, asking questions in the comment section, all that nice good stuff. Watch the other videos on my site. I also have different sites, including Laughing Griffin Gaming, which I do video games, and I also have an exercise site. Since I'm a physical therapist, I also do some exercises on YouTube. So you shouldn't just do crafting. Broaden your horizons, watch the other channels, and hope to see you again soon next time. Bye-bye.